Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
This note is to all the wives in the audience this morning. If something we as husbands said can be interpreted two ways, and one of the ways makes you sad or angry, we meant the other one. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America. Here we go on a Monday. Oh, my. New week. Great weather forecast. And a good morning to everybody. I'm Zeb Bell with Zeb at the Ranch on a Monday morning, June the 5. And, of course, our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And, of course, our great advertisers like Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today, 734-6969. Right now, let's go to our Pledge of Allegiance, and good morning, Patriot.
Good morning.
Well, how are you?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, you did a great job, and thank you. God bless you, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks at Lunch Bunch.
All righty, sounds good.
All right.
Have an awesome day.
You too, thank you. What a nice lady. Oh, good morning, and right now it's time for the weather, and our new sponsor for this hour, K&R Rental, 256 South, 600 West of Heyburn. Hey, they've thrown open the doors already this morning at 7 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. during the weekdays, Saturdays 7 a.m. to 2, and they've got everything over there at K&R Rental. We'll tell you more right after the weather.
Here's your weather as we saddle up and decide to ride again on this Monday. Today it is going to be sunny, but much cooler than what it has been over the weekend. Slightly breezy as well, winds out of the west, anywhere from 10 to 20 miles an hour. Looking at a high of 76 for today. Tonight, slightly breezy. Looking at mostly clear skies overnight, low 48 for tomorrow. Partly cloudy skies, bumping up to about 88 degrees, slightly breezy as well. And then for Tuesday night, partly cloudy skies, low 57, warming up to 93 for Wednesday, and it's going to get warmer as we get on into the weekend. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
All right, and the weather, of course, brought to you by K&R Rental, 256 South, 600 West of Heyburn. You know, Roger and the rest of the crew over there, they've got everything, all your equipment and tools, and I'll tell you what, they've got all that you need to get the job done over there. Whether you're needing maybe a great big forklift or a lawnmower, they've got it all to rent. K&R Rental, ready to serve you as they have been and been in business since 1979. All the experience needed to get you the right tools and equipment. K&R Rental, 256 South, 600 West of Heyburn, 678-3122. And they, of course, sponsor our weather. Thank you very much. Let's see where we're headed right now. We got a lot of things to talk about today. Some not so good as far as subjects that a lot of people want to kind of sweep under the rug, but we're not going to do that here. We're going to be very honest and open about everything. And your calls are always appreciated, so stay tuned for that. Want to also remind you about our friends at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Dry cleaning absolutely adds to the life of your clothing, and they do such a fantabulous job over at Daryl's Cleaners. And I really mean that. I've been taking my clothes there for a long time, all my Wranglers and my shirts. They're located at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. One of the things people don't remember or know about them is that if you don't have time to wash your own clothes, they'll take care of it for you. Wash, dry, fold, and iron all your clothes at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. You stop in and see those good folks today. Let's see, what have we got in public service announcements here this morning? I had a little note I wanted to get on here real quick this morning, and there's going to be a Father's Day brunch at the Rupert Senior Center on Saturday, June 17th, starting at 10 in the morning till 12. Tickets available at $8. Raffle tickets also available for a cooler and a fishing pole and a whole bunch more. So don't forget that coming up soon. Father's Day. Ramsey Heating and Electric for all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs. I'm telling you, they've been with us for a long time on this program, and God bless them. We appreciate all their help. Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. The number to call, 678-0459. They're open at 7:30 in the morning till 5, Mondays through Fridays. And you heard the temperatures are going to be up there in the 90s. Well, by golly, you better make sure your air conditioning unit is working efficiently. Get the air filters for it at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Some really good folks. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we might step on some toes this morning, but so be it. Enough is enough. And whether you like it or not, to which I respond, I don't care if you like it or not, we're going to be very blunt. I totally agree with President Donald Trump. No more. It is time to throw away political correctness and go after and be heavily into surveillance and destroy Islamic terrorism. Now, as you know, Martin Moyer, an author of the book Twilight in America, has written a book. He wrote it about 3.5 years ago about the jihadi camps, Islamic jihadi camps that are springing up all over the United States of America. Texas, Washington, Oregon, New York State, upper New York State, all over America. Why? What are they training? They're training nothing more than absolutely deadly force against us, the United States of America. And we're letting it happen. Well, it's time to go in and get rid of these people and get rid of their jihadist camps. The plots that are going on right now to destroy us are enormous. The FBI and CIA and all other intelligence groups cannot keep up with all the plots and all the finger pointing and who might do this and who might do that. It's absolutely a must that we start having a complete surveillance of Islamic mosques in this country. Now, for those that are supportive and go, oh, gee, we can't do that. Why, that's an invasion of their privacy. Oh, no, we want to be politically correct. We love everybody. Enough. Enough. What happened over the weekend again in the United Kingdom is going to happen here. And if I sound harsh and I sound cruel, I don't care. My family, their welfare, your family, their welfare is far more taking a precedence with me, and it should with you, over anybody that might have their feelings hurt. It is time to have a direct and very comprehensive surveillance of mosques in this country, even in Twin Falls. And make sure that they are not breeding grounds for hurting and killing us. We must start a much more comprehensive profiling system. I don't care about anybody being politically correct, feeling their feelings are hurt. I don't care. You shouldn't either. Do you really care if someone's feelings are hurt over and above the fact that somebody might end up dead? I am much more, like I said, concerned for my family's safety and your safety. And we must realize, and there's been so many guests on this program and other talk shows all across America that have come on my program, and I'll name one in particular that has been preaching and preaching and preaching for years to be careful, cognizant, and know what's going on and report it and be much more vigilant, Brigitte Gabriel. We must realize that Islam is not a religion of peace. I don't care what they say, that's bogus. It's an ideology of control and violence. And the Quran calls for unending war against the infidels. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Don't forget our dear friends at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland and Burley, 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls, and it is America's Diner. You know, they've got all the burgers. Have you seen that new list of burgers? They are phenomenal, and I've had them, and they are delicious. And, of course, all the breakfast menus. Anytime, all the time, all the menu items, absolutely great. Stop into America's Diner at 611 North Overland and Burley and 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. You will enjoy the eating experience. Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, sir. Did you see that interview with the gentleman that done the waterboarding of Sheikh Mohammed?
Yes, I did.
And what his statement that terrorists told him said that political correctness is from Allah, a gift from Allah to overtake the West.
That's exactly right. Doug, what is it going to take to make America realize? What is it going to take to make people right here in Magic Valley realize that the bad guys are out there? The bad guys might even be rubbing elbows right now here in this area. We don't know because we are so convinced that we have to be Joe Nice Guy. And right now, look at those poor people over in the United Kingdom. My heart goes out to them. I mean, the violence and the bombing and the shooting and the stabbing and the running over people. My goodness, Doug, what is it going to take for them to realize, hey, we're next?
Well, it's going to, unfortunately... And I hope it doesn't come to pass, but unfortunately it's going to take a bunch of the Democrats' family getting taken out by these guys before they realize, whoa, wait a minute. You know, it's a sad deal that they feel the way they do. Yes, we need to be compassionate towards people, yes. But you do not invite a murderer into your house to spend the night and have dinner with your family.
They don't want to be here. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the refugees. Really, according to their religion, quote unquote, or their ideology, they are not to mingle and not to be associated with us, the infidels. Well, here they are. Here they are. Okay, and I absolutely look at it with a very cynical viewpoint of, they don't want to be here. And according to their religion and their beliefs and their ideology, they have nothing more than control on their mind. And don't anybody whitewash this. Doug, you know that that's the reason. I'm very worried about the idea of accepting all of these people.
Well, as you can see in the community, especially over in France and England and some in Michigan, they do not want to assimilate to the Western values.
How about the state of Minnesota, my friend?
Yeah, Minnesota, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, they do not. They do not want to adopt United States values.
People, Doug, were walking across a bridge. They were enjoying a very nice day. And all of a sudden, the screeching of tires and the running over of human beings and the killing of human beings. And then the people had to jump off the bridge into the water to try to save their lives. And then these vermin jumped out of this van and started stabbing and slashing and killing. Doug, how much longer do we have to put up with this garbage?
Well, we don't have to. We just need to stand up. And you notice that not much of that is happening over here, just a little here, little there. And they always go to a soft target where there's going to be no guns. So you let somebody out in the middle of the street, say going across Snake River, and they jump up on the curb there and start running people over, they're going to be shot at before they get very dang
Yeah, but here's the thing. Look at our President Trump, and I'm going to always refer with respect there. I did it, and I'm going to keep on doing it for the president's position. He has come out, and he said no more, it's got to stop, no more political correctness, and the loony left is out there criticizing him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we got the loony left courts stopping his travel ban, which he is constitutionally right to do, and it's not what they say, Muslim ban, like Condoleezza Rice was saying the other day. It is a ban against those countries who they can't vet the people that are wanting the visas.
Do you know what time on the calendar this is? It started May 27th and goes through June 25th. What is it?
Month or whatever.
Ramadan. Right. And I have heard and talked to people last week before I left on a little trip this weekend that, I guess to use a coined phrase of popularism, we ain't seen nothing yet.
Yeah. It's going to take another 9/11 over here to get some of these people to open their eyes and realize that they've just let the Trojan horse in the United States.
But yet, Doug, and Wheels, turn up the caller and myself in the headsets feed down the line to me just a little bit. Please, Wheels, I'd appreciate it. But yet, Doug, the left and their lunacy, they come out and they're absolutely blaming President Trump. Here's a headline in our illustrious Times News op-ed page this morning, and this just infuriates me. Listen to this. Trump reacts to terror attack in London by stoking fear. What in the world did President Trump do to stoke fear over that terror attack? Listen, I tell you what, somebody that stands up and acts a little bit like John Wayne, I'm all for him, because we've got to stop this lunacy of killing people.
Exactly. And, and they say Trump reacted without knowing all the information.
He was right. Yeah.
I'm sure he had my mind just went blank.
Well, all the information and the intelligence that was necessary. I mean, it's not like he was looking at a blank page, for heaven's sakes.
Exactly. Yeah, he had the information on what exactly happened and everything over there even before the Times News or CNN and all those guys.
The Times News and other newspapers of its ilk. I mean, I am so fed up with this leftist viewpoint. That headline, I want to read it again. Trump reacts to terror attack in London by stoking fear. He didn't stoke any fears at all. As a matter of fact, he stood up in front of a microphone and the TV cameras and said, that's it, it's enough. What is that, stoking fear? To me, it gives me a lot of support, thinking I've got a president that's going to stand up against the bad guys and go get them.
Exactly, a president that's got our back. Yeah, exactly.
I am so fed up with the left and the media and the absolutely distorted facts that they publish and print. I just can't say enough bad words about them.
Anyway, the right bad words on the radio, correct?
Yeah, so far. Thanks, Doug.
On a lighter note, let's everybody take care of our senior centers.
Got you covered.
Can help them, donate to them, volunteer for them. Rent their facilities for your parties.
Yep, gotcha. Hey, man, I got to run and do a commercial, but thank you so much.
You bet.
All right, thank you. Folks, really, think about it. I'm surprised all the lines aren't lit up, because we've got to really be careful out there and be careful out here. We're not immune to it, believe me, in any way, shape, or form. Barry Equipment and Rental, sales, service, and parts. Don't forget they've got 3 locations serving you in South Lincoln and Jerome, and, of course, Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Oh, my goodness sakes, all the Bobcats. Yes, they've got the Bobcat equipment, excavators, and they've got them in all shapes and sizes. And, oh, don't forget, mow your lawn like the pros do with the Walker mowers. 0% interest for 48 months. Get in there. Get the equipment, whether you need to rent it or buy it. They've got it. Barry Equipment and Rental. South Lincoln and Jerome, and Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Well, after a long weekend of sitting on a horse, I'm a little stiff and sore this morning. I really am. Every day for about 7 or 8 hours. And Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, the place to go. Right now, I wished I was broadcasting this program from that hydrotherapy pool. Hey, I'd be comfortable. 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. They can help you get back to being you. Absolutely. You call them today if you've had a little accident, or maybe you've had a surgery, or you're just stiff and sore from all the work. They can help. They will help. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. We're at a point to where I just have never seen anything like this on the liberal side of things and the Democratic Party. They will absolutely stand up and disavow everything that's going on for the protection of us and the betterment of us. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, I got the nicest birthday card in the mail the other day, and guess who it was from?
Well, I don't know.
Well, it was from your lovely wife and you.
Yes, I know. We wanted to extend birthday wishes to you because we were out of town and up at my son's this weekend.
I mean, it is so thoughtful of you and Deanna. I know Deanna is just like my wife. She's always thinking of others, you know, more so than we do. We have other things on our mind, it seems like, but these wives we have are so thoughtful.
Yes.
And kind. It's just, we're just lucky to have them.
Well, I totally agree, and I thank you for your kind comments. I appreciate that, and I hope you had a wonderful, very happy birthday.
Yes, I did. And to add to what you were talking about, how would you like to live in New York City?
No, I would not like to live in New York City because...
Going on, you know, we had 9/11, and all of a sudden all these people come together.
Yeah.
And are they together today? Not at all.
But you mentioned live in New York City, and there's the naivete, I think, of the American public, though, Keith. It doesn't matter where you live. L.A., Sacramento, Portland, Seattle, Twin Falls. We become naive and think, well, that's happening over someplace else, or that's happening back in the Big Apple. No, it can happen anywhere. Right now, I urge people, you have to be careful. You have to be watchful. You have to be vigilant, because I don't care where it is, these deadly people want to take over our land, take over our lifestyle, and control everything.
There's no question about that. But I mean, to walk down the street and be able to say hi to everybody. You know, whether you know them or not, you say hi. I do.
Yeah.
I'm sure you do also.
Yep.
Because we love everybody that lives here. But in New York, and I've been to New York a couple of times, and some of the people are nice, and some of the people are very, very abrupt.
Well, you know, I got to do a commercial break here, but I'll just end it by saying this. I've been to New York more than most people, and I have done quite a few events back there where I have announced the various sporting events, etc. I have been treated absolutely first class. My wife and I, when we took tours of the city, etc., never were treated rudely. And so I just want to say that of all the times I've been there, I have always found the people to be very friendly and against the, I think, mistaken nomer that they're rude and uncaring, because that was not the case with us whatsoever.
Well, that isn't exactly what I meant. I meant abrupt. In other words,
okay,
if you ask them a question, a lot of them, not everybody, but they just answer you, and that's all. Like, they got to be moving on because they don't want you to know what they're doing.
Right.
You know, it just seems like a secretive thing to me. That's my impression that I have.
All right, well, Keith, I appreciate it. Got to run. Happy birthday belatedly again. Have a good day. Thank you for your call. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Hey, we appreciate calls in a few minutes. I'm going to give away some cookies in a minute, so stay tuned for that. Ag Express is looking for drivers. Absolutely. Great place to work, too. Full and part-time positions. Retired folks are welcome to apply. They'll work around your schedule 2 or 3 days a week, whatever works best for you, and you're home every night and using new and maintained equipment. Vacation schedules, benefit programs. Call Dale and Paul at 438-8886. Allen in Twin Falls at 731-2495, and Russ in Burley at 431-7175. Ag Express is looking for drivers. Ag Express is looking for you. Hey, my old buddy Reese over at Sportsman's Warehouse, he's got a message for you. Didn't you ever wish that you could try a new gun before you buy it? Well, now you can at the annual Sportsman's Warehouse Outdoor Shooting Expo. It's going to be coming up this next weekend, June 10th, from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., and it's going to be at the Jerome Gun Club on Highway 93, where representatives from the companies like Colt, Smith & Wesson, Glock, and many more will be on site to demonstrate their firearms, and you can literally try before you buy. Admission is free, but there's a small, very small, minimal charge for the ammunition. This is all put on by Sportsman's Warehouse Outdoor Shooting Expo, June 10th, from 9 to 4 p.m. at the Jerome Gun Club. Woo, that is going to be fun times. Hey, don't forget, to our dear doctor of audiology and Dr. Christine Pickup. My. She's got something fun for this summer. And it's called The Sounds of Summer, and it's a scavenger hunt. And the grand prize being $500 off a pair of mid-level or premium hearing aids. You be sure and get a hold of them today over at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids and pick up a contest card and try to win that scavenger hunt. Oh, my. When it comes to your hearing, they care. When it comes to making sure that you hear everything, they can help. And that's Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, 1218 9th Street in Rupert, Unit 2. You get a hold of them, 312-0957. Well, let's give away some cookies. On Mondays, we give away a dozen cookies to Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 East Street in Rupert. Delicious restaurant, great bakery. Oh, my goodness. And now yes? Did you say something to me, Wheels?
No, I was just waiting for your question.
Yeah, I know, but I think you had a mic on there for a minute, or bumped it.
No, it did crackle there for a second, but we're all good right now.
Oh, we're all good, okay. I'm going to ask the question, and it's for first-time winners only, so please don't cheat. Here's the question. What is Dick Van Dyke's brother's first name, and what instrument did he play? And he was very good at playing this instrument. What is Dick Van Dyke's brother's first name, and what instrument did he play? He was a great comedian in his own right and appeared on a lot of comedy shows. And what instrument did he play? What was Dick Van Dyke's brother's name, and what instrument did he play? Call me at 436-2244 or 1-866-927-4587. Hurry! Give me a call and be the winner of a dozen delicious cookies from Sophie's Chatterbox. Hurry, give me a call. While I'm waiting for your call, I want to remind you this next weekend, Saturday, June 10th, the Mini-Cassia Relay for Life at the Burley High School track. Don't forget, it's going to start at 11 o'clock in the morning. go until 11 o'clock at night, and absolutely raising funds to fight the dreaded disease of cancer in all of its various forms. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Jerry Van Dyke, and he played the banjo.
Who is this? Who are you?
Roger.
Well, Roger, that doesn't help me much. What's your last name?
Hang on a second here. I got to turn it up.
Okay. What is your last name, Roger?
Okay, maybe I can hear you now. Try it.
Okay, what's your last name, Roger?
Graham.
Graham?
Mm-hmm.
You are the lucky winner. All you have to do is call over to Sophie's and tell them when you'll be there to pick up your cookies. And if you get sugar cookies, you got to share half of them with me.
All right, that's all right. I'll do that, Jeff.
Okay,
No
take care. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate it.
Thank you, bye.
Roger Graham is the winner. It was Jerry Van Dyke, and Jerry could just sit down and hammer out great tunes with that banjo. He was funny. Jerry Van Dyke was really, really funny and a great artist on that banjo, believe me. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I was eating supper the other night, and I dropped my fork and about tipped over my plate when I heard that the vile Kathy Griffin tried to turn herself into being the victim. This is nuts. She tried to turn herself into being the victim and said that Donald Trump, our president, and his family had bullied her after this idiot woman had held up a fake, bloody, severed head that resembled Donald Trump. Oh, she cried. Oh, she stood there with a lawyer. And said the bullying from the Trump family that she has endured. Oh, poor me, even though I was stupid and absolutely dumb in doing what she did, she blames the Trumps. I was blown away as to the twisting of this story. Kathy Griffin stood there with another idiotic left-wing lawyer. Careful, Zeb. And she tried to twist the whole story that I got up and I know I did wrong, but now I'm being bullied by the Trump family. Woe is me. My career is in the tank. CNN fired me and other people don't want me. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Well, maybe, Kathy, if you had any intelligence whatsoever, you would have realized that your choice of doing something this stupid and backward and against society was going to cost you. I feel no compassion for this woman, not one iota. As a matter of fact, I only feel a very repugnant attitude towards her. I absolutely want to see her suffer. I want to see her lose her job. I want to see her career go in the tank, because this is not the first time that the vileness and the filthiness and the arrogance of Kathy Griffin has come to the forefront. This is not the first time. But to hold up the semblance of a severed head resembling our President of the United States of America, and not to expect that you're going to have all these repercussions and ramifications, how dumb is this woman? And then when people speak out against her, then she says she's bullied? Ay, caller, good morning, you're on the air.
Sorry to bother you again, but one quick comment on that. In this country, America, where we are free to make choices. But we are not free from the consequences of those choices. And this nails it right there. She made a choice. Now she's feeling the repercussion, and she is not a big enough person to stand up and admit that she messed up.
Well, Doug, today, and tell me if I'm wrong, and I know I'm not. This is kind of arrogant on my part, but I know I'm not wrong. People on the left, when they do stupid things, and they say, well, I made a mistake. No, Doug, it was not a mistake. A mistake is sitting down, like I said earlier on a program last week, and adding 2 and 2 and come up with 5. That's a mistake, okay? But a choice was made by her to try to be as belligerent and obtuse as she could possibly be when she arranged for the photo shoot, arranged for the photographer, arranged for the videographer to do this stupid thing she did. It was a choice, not a mistake.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Now, she's made the choice. She's made the decision to do it. Now she should not be free from any repercussions.
Absolutely.
Any consequences.
Yeah, and, you know, that apology that she gave, oh, my gosh, I've heard better apologies from serial killers. I mean, come on. What kind of a absolute disrespect for the situation was that? I'm sorry, but now I'm being bullied. Oh, my goodness, I had to hire a lawyer, and I'm being bullied. Well, here's what Melania Trump said, quote, about Kathy Griffin. As a mother, a wife, and a human being, that photo is very disturbing. When you consider some of the atrocities happening in the world today, a photo opportunity like this is simply wrong and makes you wonder about the mental health of the person who did it. That is a quote from our First Lady, and she is spot on. Kathy Griffin, you hire all the high-powered attorneys you want. I hope you lose everything in your career because of your filth and your choice.
Exactly. And my question is, what career did she have?
She was, and I'm saying this in the past tense form because I hope she doesn't come back. Kathy Griffin was one of the most vile, filthy, absolutely foul language so-called comedians ever. And I caught her one time on a television roast of another individual. And I said to my wife, how? How can this woman be so filthy and get away with this? I mean, I'm glad. I really am glad to see her demise.
Well, she's reaping what she sows.
Yes.
That's exactly it. And my granddad taught me a long time ago, and this has held true throughout my whole life, is you can take a person that will admit they're wrong. He says you can trust them with your life savings, but a person who is never wrong or never at fault, you can't trust them with a nickel.
Why is it, and I want to just ask this question quickly before I go to the weather, why is it that most of the vile, filthy, repugnant, absolutely against anything civilized statements that are made or actions taken are by the liberal loon Democratic left?
Well, I look at it like this, and this is my thinking on how they are where they are, is when they had their DNC convention and they booed God. That's exactly where they are. And if you don't have God in your heart, you will be an evil, vile person because you'll have the devil in your heart.
I just, I know somebody out in the audience is going to say, well, who are you? Can't you have the realm of forgiveness? No, I don't in her case, because she was an ongoing spewing of this outrageous language and attitude. So when they keep on doing it, and then they turn around and try to say, well, I'm bullied. No, she's not bullied. She is now hated by others that have some kind of moral value. She does not.
She needs to sleep in the bed she made.
Absolutely, Doug. Thank you so much. God bless.
God bless.
Thank you. No, Kathy Griffin, and I hope, honestly, I hope her career is totally over. Totally. We don't need that kind of filth. Right now it's time for the weather, and the weather is brought to you by Riverview Urgent Care, and they're located at 382 North Overland in Burley, Twin Falls Urgent Care, 2392 Addison Avenue East in Twin, and Jerome Urgent Care, 133 West Avenue A in Jerome. Minor emergencies, major care. The doctor will see you now, not in 4 or 5 days. They're open 7 days a week, and absolutely for your strains and your sprains and your cuts and your abrasions and all your owies, they can help and they will help. Urgent Cares. Riverview Urgent Care in Burley, Twin Falls Urgent Care, and Jerome Urgent Care. Right now, here's the weather.
Here's your weather as we saddle up and decide to ride again on this Monday. Today it is going to be sunny, but much cooler than what it has been over the weekend. Slightly breezy as well, winds out of the west, anywhere from 10 to 20 miles an hour. Looking at a high of 76 for today. Tonight, slightly breezy. Looking at mostly clear skies overnight, low 48 for tomorrow. Partly cloudy skies, bumping up to about 88 degrees, slightly breezy as well. And then for Tuesday night, partly cloudy skies, low of 57, warming up to 93 for Wednesday, and it's going to get warmer as we get on into the weekend. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Kyle James and all of his staff at the 3 Urgent Cares, Riverview Urgent Care, Burley, Twin Falls Urgent Care, Twin Falls, and Jerome Urgent Care in Jerome. Excellent, folks. Minor emergency, major care. By the way, too, I want to remind you about our friends, dear friends, over at Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center at 924 Christian Way in Rupert. Oh, my goodness, they make every effort to make Autumn Haven the best place. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center, and the number to call, 436-3200. Come on by. Stop by the facility anytime for tours and check them out. And they are the only locally owned and operated assisted living facility in the Mini-Cassia area. You know, they're small compared to some, but with a bigger heart than most. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center, 924 Christian Way in Rupert. Really, really nice people. All right, your turn. Come on, don't let me down. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'm chuckling because this story, it just makes me giggle because they put old Al Gore, you know, corpuscly fat Al Gore, on the spot. On the spot. Al Gore, former vice president, and I love using the word former with him because I hope he never returns to any semblance of power whatsoever. Former Vice President Al Gore was on Fox News' Chris Wallace program. And Al Gore, of course, with all of his climate change and global warming and everything and going on about this, that, and the other. And Chris Wallace very directly asked him, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't have the direct quote right in front of me, but he asked him, well, wait a minute, Al Gore, you know, 11, 12 years ago, you were coming out going, oh, the sky is falling, we're all going to burn up, and the waters are going to take over all of New York City, and all the icebergs are melting, and oh, it's terrible. Well, it didn't happen. And he had made this prediction saying that within a decade, 10 years, well, now it's going into the 12th year after Al Gore made these silly statements, which he's done that many times. And Chris Wallace said, well, wait a minute, you made all these doom and gloom predictions. Oh, what happened? They're not coming true. And Al sputtered like an old beat-up lawnmower. He couldn't come up with anything. I mean, you could see the red in his neck and going to flush his face. He was one mad little Democrat. And I thought it was fantastic. You know, his stupidity about global warming and his ineptness about the same subject and many others really came to the forefront. So I give kudos to Chris Wallace for really putting old Al, the inventor of the internet, yeah, buddy, on the spot. It was great. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Come on, don't leave me hanging here. I love to visit with my audience. Hey, it's Time to Grow on Thursdays with Tony McCammon. Don't forget that at 9:15 on Thursdays. Tony McCammon, University of Idaho horticulturalist, and he is a neat guy. A lot of fun to visit with. And we're going to be talking about more trees and bugs this next weekend, so don't miss that on Thursday. And it's Time to Grow Thursdays right here on Zeb at the Ranch. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
So, in other words, there really aren't going to be trees and bugs and stuff, Zeb. In other words, we're not in a fiery burnout with the global warverse.
You know something? I really have taken a lot of time over the years to not only visit with various people, Randy, that know all about what's happening possibly with climate change and or not happening with climate change. People that are very respected in their part of science. And then when I listen to the people that are absolutely knotheads and have absolutely no training or ability to put forth an opinion, and they buy everything that the Al Gores of the world put out hook, line, and sinker, it's scary. And I'll give you an instance, like the op-ed team at the Times News. My goodness, if you put a worm on a hook, they'll bite it.
Well, it's such a shame that there's so many people out there, they're useful idiots. They go along because they think there's some sort of a reason that they're going to benefit somehow. They don't care how you get there. The ends will justify the means. Now, again, I'm repeating myself here, but this is the thing. This is the thing we've got to remember. The point, and I'm hanging up. If Trump does what he says he's going to do, he's going to set liberalism, environmentalism, socialism, and any other kind of badism back to the 1950s. I'm going to hang up, Zeb.
I appreciate that. God bless you, man. That was very well stated. Thank you. Caller number 2, you're on the air. Go ahead. Go for the gun. There you are.
Okay, Zeb. It'd be interesting to find out who encourages Kathy Griffin to do what she did. Evidently, somebody told her this doing what she did would increase her ratings all over the place. So there's got to be somebody behind her.
Well, and she very well could have operated on her own ability of trying to be more repulsive than she has been in the past. Kathy Griffin is, in my estimation, she's not an entertainer. She's not a comedian. She's nothing more than kind of like a shock jock. She says stupid, frivolous things just to get ratings and to get her name out. And quite frankly, I think it's great that CNN fired her from the New Year's Eve special. I'd like to see everybody look at Kathy Griffin and say, that's it, throw the contract in the garbage. Enough. It's about time we cleaned up Dodge City, and Kathy Griffin is the first bad one to fall.
Yeah, there's going to be more behind her.
Well, I believe you're right, Tony, but it's a start. At least we can get the dustpan and the mop out, can't we?
Yeah, we need the fire hose out, too. Okay. Flushing down the toilet.
There you go, Tony. God bless you, man. Good to hear from you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. I think it's high time to clean out the garage. And in the garage, if you've got Kathy Griffins and others like that rely on filth and absolutely perverted humor, underline that word, I'm glad to see her gone. I am, man. I think it's great. Attention on aisle 7, crying lady, Kathy Griffin. I think it's great. Maybe they'll clean up their act. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Doing the right thing matters. That should be a slogan for a lot of people in this country. Anyhow, I'll tell you what, they've got all the tires, all the tread designs, all the sizes for all the vehicles. Pickups, SUVs, cars, trailers, name it, they can help you and they will. These are such knowledgeable people and such caring people and such service-oriented people at all 7 locations. You stop in and see them today. I mean, the best in brake service, the best in front-end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries. And, of course, tires. You know that. Doing the right thing does matter, and they care. At your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. You know, I wish... honestly, somebody that had a little backbone, and I don't want them to kid with me. I want them to be serious. If there's any fans of what vile attitude and action Kathy Griffin took, I'd like you to call. I'll try to bite my tongue so I don't jump right down your throat. But, I mean, I can't imagine how anybody could advocate that kind of stupidity. And then for her to turn around and say, I'm being bullied. Well, you should be bullied. You should be bullied to the point where you see the light at the end of the tunnel and maybe change the way you do things. That, I don't care what family it was or who it would be. That kind of vileness that she showed by holding up that severed fake head as an indication of what she thought of our president was absolutely so low class, I can't even find the words to express my feelings against her. We're going to take a little break, and then next hour, the lovely Vicky with Vicky's Country Garden. And we're going to be talking to Brian Crabtree about Trump getting us out of the Paris Climate Accord. Amen, buddy. We're going to have a lot more all Monday morning. Stay tuned. Zeb at the Ranch will be back in about 7. Wheels, take it away. There we go. Finally, we're back on the air on our internet. I'm sorry. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal, loyal to the community and the people that they serve. Always at your disposal, whether you need porta potties delivered to a site for your reunions, your birthday parties, whatever, whether you need your garbage picked up weekly, whatever, storage units, call them today. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call 734-6969. We're back on the air. I almost forgot to turn that button back on, and then it wouldn't click on for me for a few minutes. Hey, don't forget to our friends over at Ark Animal Hospital. Hello, Dr. Bill, Dr. Liz, the whole crew. And I just want to say and emphasize how important, and I mean this, it is to get your dogs and puppies vaccinated against that parvovirus. It is a very deadly, highly contagious viral infection. And all I'm going to tell you is please don't waste a minute. Call and take care of your dogs and puppies today. Call them and get those vaccinations. 678-1177. Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street in Hebron. And it is true. They have warm hearts for cold noses. Really nice people. Let's see if I got anything else here right now. Well, I'll get to that in just a second. In a few moments, we're going to have Vicky's Country Garden on the air for this morning. But I got to tell you what happened last week. This is really important. Do you remember last week we had Command Sergeant Major Jerry Henderson on this program? He was on last week on Thursday. And he did a little follow-up with me on an email, and I wanted to share this with you because he wanted to say a thank you to someone here locally. And I'm going to read the note as it was sent to me. Dear Zeb, I forgot to acknowledge someone and am hoping that perhaps you could do it on a subsequent broadcast. I just redeployed for an 11-month tour to the Middle East. While there, I opened up one of my many any soldier letters that great American patriots send to service members around the world. This particular letter was from Oakley, Idaho, courtesy of Project Rudolph, which was started in Oakley. Some wonderful, wonderful people. The author of the letter was Dwight Hale. And I wrote him a thank you letter, and he wrote me back and sent me a brochure from the City of Rocks. Anyway, I wanted to give him and Project Rudolph a shout-out on your radio program and thank them for their support to the military. I would be honored if you could acknowledge him and Project Rudolph on my behalf. Sincerely, Jerry Henderson, Command Sergeant Major. Isn't that nice? We had Jerry on our program last week, and he sent that note saying that he wanted to thank Project Rudolph and, in particular, Dwight Hale. So thank you very much for the people that are in charge of it. Thank you very much for all the people that were involved. God bless you. That's nice. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert with our dear friend Joel Heward, and of course he is the manager along with his family and the staff serving you and your family. And they will go to rural towns and churches to help you with all the arrangements when there's the passing of a loved one. And remember this, please, always upholding the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Please write the number down and call. For more information, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert, 436-5636. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. We had a beautiful weekend. We were up in Nampa and Boise area for the weekend and really ran into some really nice people, including the Oman family that lives out at Grouse Creek, way out in the Tules, out there in the wild cowboy country of Grouse Creek, and just met some really, really nice people. And for those that have tuned in this morning and are listening, thank you for being so kind. We really had an enjoyable time and hope to see you folks again. Don't forget, oh my goodness, did you hear what Sportsman's Warehouse is going to be doing this Saturday, June 10th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Jerome Gun Club on Highway 93? Well, they're going to have the annual Sportsman's Warehouse Outdoor Shooting Expo. Man, you can try these guns before you buy these guns. They're going to have representatives there from Colt and Smith & Wesson and Glock, and they're going to be right on site to demonstrate their firearms. That's going to be at the Jerome Gun Club on Highway 93, and it's coming up on this next Saturday, June 10th, from 9 to 4 p.m. in the afternoon. So don't forget it. It's going to be a lot of fun, and believe me, you can try the guns before you buy the guns. That's Sportsman's Warehouse with our old buddy Reese and the crew, and it's their annual Sportsman's Warehouse Outdoor Shooting Expo. Really, really going to be interesting coming up on this Saturday. Let's see if I got anything else I need to tell you real quick. No, but I will say that in just a moment we're going to get all set to go over to Vicky's Country Garden and, of course, have her weekly show right here on the program. And let's see, what else have I got here real quick? That dog. I wanted to talk about that little dog. Little Tinker, now, unless something has happened in the last couple of days and I have not been aware of it, the little dog that was taken and then resold, and I want to emphasize the numbers, it's a little Yorkie, and Tinker is 8 years of age. And if you know anything about this dog that was stolen and then resold, it's got an $800 reward, and the numbers to call are Idaho numbers 208-656-9025 or 208-870-5946. That's one of the saddest stories I've heard in a long time about a little dog being stolen and then resold. This is hideous, and I hope they get the dog back to the rightful owner. Right now, it is time to go over the river and through the woods. To Vicky's Country Garden we go, and of course, Vicky at her country garden, 185 South, 600 west of Paul, and it's the program called Gardening for Idiots, named after yours truly, me. Vicky's Country Garden celebrating 20 years in business, and she said it feels like it was only yesterday. Good morning, Miss Vicky.
Good morning, Zeb. How are you this morning after our lovely windstorm?
You know, Vicki, we did not get the wind as bad here at my place as I think you did over on the north side, because I understand it was a howling last night.
It was. It kind of come through here with a little bit of a bang and took out my
sign out by the road, and yeah, it was blowing pretty good lick.
So
but, I hope it didn't do any damage to gardens. That's some of the things that can really, those high winds like that, when they get a little twist to them, they can sure break plants off at the ground. I mean, just really cause havoc. And I'm hoping that everybody had some protection out and maybe didn't get hit too hard.
Well, now, when you say that, though, that leads me into a question on a letter that we have from a lady from Twin Falls. And she said, my husband and I have been gone back east until just about a week ago. We had some family emergencies to take care of, and I did not get my garden planted yet. Am I too late, or is there still an opportunity?
Oh, no, they're not too late at all. They can go ahead and get stuff in. Everything will just come up faster. They might be a little bit behind, a week or two behind, but a lot of people are there's a lot of people still planting gardens. So, everything's prime and ready for it. The soil temperatures are there, the heat's there, the plants will come right up and take right off. So, I wouldn't hesitate at all planting a garden right now.
We've got another letter that we get one every year. We've done this program, or actually we get more than one. And this caller said, how deep do I dig or plow for my garden?
Well, it kind of depends on, most people have got gardens that they're using rototillers.
Yeah.
And so you want to go down at least 6 to 8 inches. You've got to get down deep enough to turn that soil. It's really important if you can get a tractor in there and go in and really drop it. If you can put a small plow in there and plow it and turn it deep, at least every other year, that's a great way to do it. But if it's in your backyard, just try to till it as deep as you can. The deeper you turn that dirt, the better you're going to have. The garden and everything will work a lot better. So
Vicki,
you won't get that hard pan down there as bad if you can turn it down deep.
Okay, now let me ask you this question, and this is not from a caller, but we've talked about this also in the past, and I think it bears repeating. Do people that want to grow a very good, nurtured garden, do they need to get their soil tested or find out what kind of soil they have? Is that important?
It's a very important factor, especially in this area, because we do have a lot of high alkali in our soil in this area. And to know, you can put all the fertilizers you want on, but if your pH is too high, they just lock up in the soil and don't do you any good. And so that's where the soil sulfur comes into play, and you have to put it on 2 or 3 times a year to get that pH to coming down, because we are a high desert and we do have a lot of alkali. And even in the sandy soil, it's an alkali sand.
Uh-huh.
And that hinders plants from growing. There's not a lot of plants that can grow in that high pH because they don't get any nutrient. Everything takes off and grows pretty good right at the beginning of the year, and then as everybody starts watering, because our water's high pH also, it just builds it up there to where everything gets tied up, locked up, and everything starts going yellow and just doesn't grow. That's the sign of alkalinity.
Well, now,
and if you have your ground tested, then you know what you need to do to that soil to make it worthwhile. They'll tell you how many parts of nitrogen you need, or phosphate that you need, or soil sulfur, or whatever. And usually the main thing they send back to you is you need soil sulfur, soil sulfur, soil sulfur in this area to bring down the pH, because all the farmers use it. And when they're putting fertilizers and when they're planting and things, you just have to in this area.
Well, now, for those that don't know, and I guess I'll show some naivete too, what do? You just take a big old shovel full of dirt, and where do you go? Who do you talk to?
Well, you can you go down, you want to take a sample, you want to have paper bags or plastic bags or something handy. You want to take a shallow sample down, say about 3 inches or so. Take a scoopful of dirt about that deep and put that in one bag. Go down, try to get down deeper if you can. See, the soil samplers are a plug that goes down and pulls the dirt out at a different level. You want to try to get down at least down about 6 inches, and then down around 10 to 14 inches if you can, for the deeper crops and things of that nature, like trees and things like that. and then you put them in different bags.
Okay.
And there's a place in Twin called Stukenholtz. It's right down by D&B Supply.
Okay.
And they will run those tests for you.
Okay.
And tell you, they'll send you back a report. Sometimes you can get some of the fertilizer companies to come out and pull a soil sample for you. You can call and see if they'll come pull one for you. I believe the Extension Office can also come and pull a soil sample for you, if I'm not mistaken, like the Burley Extension Office. I think he has a sampler that he can go and pull soil samples. It's the way to know. You can put all your money in the world into fertilizers and trying to fix it yourself and guess, but until you know what you're doing with it, if you've got problems, it's not going to do you any good.
Yeah.
So if you'll take the sample, go down, it costs a little bit. I don't know exactly. It used to be like $45, $50 for a soil sample, but you can spend that in chemical that isn't going to do you any good in a heartbeat. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
If you're really concerned about your yard and, your garden and your trees and things of that nature, take a sample in different areas of your yard and take it down to them, label it so that they know, so that when the report comes back, in this area it's such and such, in this area it's such and such. And then you can have fertilizers customly done to put on your yard to make your soil do what you want it to.
Okay. Wow, you really are the encyclopedia of knowledge. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, now, I didn't quite understand this letter, the way it was written, so bear with me on this. But the gist of the note that I received was that this lady said, my mother told me not to hoe in the garden because if you hoed too close to the plants, you would cut off the root system. Is that true?
Yes, it is. If you're hoeing too close to your plants and you've got a plant that's the roots have spread out, you're going to get down. Because you're going to be hoeing down there 3 to 4 inches, and you do have root sections at that point in time. You can make a slip and cut the whole plant off, as a matter of fact, with a good sharp hoe. But you want to stay away from your plants a little bit, loosen the soil, and then, unfortunately, reach down and pull those weeds out around those plants. Because if you get in too close to your plant, you do have the risk of cutting roots to your plants, and then you've lost your basically part of your plant.
So you don't want to turn me loose in the garden with a hoe.
Probably not.
Yeah. Okay. This gentleman wrote in and said, bugs. Oh, my goodness, bugs are all over the place right now. And he said, with this warmer weather, it's going to get worse. My whole garden area is bugs, bugs, bugs. What do they do?
Well, you're going to have, you've got the ones that are in the soil that you can put the insecticide granules down in around your plants and get rid of the ones that's in around the soil, or use the diatomaceous earth, which is the organic way of getting the crawling bugs that's in your on the ground, slugs and earwigs and that type of thing, ants and those kind of things. Ants are really a problem this year. A lot of ants showing up everywhere, but you're going to have, right now we're noticing a major influx of they start out little, but they end up big, the green tomato hornworm.
Uh-huh.
And that was the lovely little hummingbird moths that have been flying around that everybody thinks are so cute. Well, they're not. They're a mess. And they lay eggs, and then now all of a sudden we're getting hit with worms. They're going to be hitting cabbages. They pick certain plants, and they will literally devour a plant. They're little green ones. You can't hardly see them. You have to really look on your plants. Perennial flowers, they get into them. We just found a bunch in some of ours. You're going to have to use some dust, some sprays, some stuff like that to keep them under control. But do watch your cabbages, your broccoli, that kind of stuff, because they do love those types of plants.
Okay. Now, my wife has had this problem, and quite frankly, other ladies have contacted us and said all of their decorative flower beds with the grass, and you mentioned a couple of weeks ago on the program about a spray that would kill only the grass. Well, Deanne asked me if I would ask that question again about what it is and how it's applied.
Okay, it's basically got a real unique name. It's called Grass Killer.
Oh, my. How did they come up with that?
I don't know. I'm sure they had to sit up nights thinking of that one. But it is the original farm chemical of Post that we've had for years. That is strictly a non-selective grass killer. Won't kill a dandelion, won't kill nothing else, but it'll kill grass, lawn grass, ornamental grass, quack grass. It'll kill all grasses. Don't use it around your corn because corn is in the grass family, and that can take corn out at the same time.
Oh, my. Okay.
But you can use it in iris, tulips. You can get in around your roses, in raspberry beds, and all kinds of places with it. But you have to use a sticker with it in order to make it work. It has to have an oil activant that goes with it. But it is a chemical that you just mix up and spray. You have to spray about 3 times, and it's slow acting. Don't get in a hurry with it. You have to spray about 3 to 4 times on the grass, but it will kill it down to the root.
Okay. Now, we have a caller with a question. I'm going to ask the caller, keep it real short because I've only got a minute and a half left. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Well, I'll be real short. I've been using the stuff. It works, but don't get impatient with it. And I'm on the 5th spraying on some stuff, but it is finally killing it.
Okay, sir. Well, thank you. There you go, Vicki, somebody that's tried that procedure.
Yes, and everybody thinks it's going to kill like 2,4-D or Roundup. It's not going to be that fast. It's going to be a good 14 to 21 days. Once you see the grass starting to yellow just a little bit on the tips or whatever, hit it again with the grass killer. And just, kind of, like I say, it's going to take a good, like he said, he's on his 5th spraying. If you've got heavy grass, it's going to take 4 or 5 sprayings. But you can get it. You can kill it and leave your plants alone. After it yellows down, then you can pull it out and get rid of it.
Okay. Vicki, real quick, anything new, absolutely, positively earth-shattering news from Vicki's Country Garden?
Well, we've had a lot of people in replanting things. I've been told that nobody has any watermelon plants or any cucumbers and that type of thing. We have a lot of them. If you're still needing plants, we've got plenty of vegetables, squashes, all that kind of good stuff. So if the wind blew your zucchini plant away last night, come on in. We got another one.
Maybe they can find theirs up in Pocatello or something, right?
It could be, yeah. Maybe right alongside my sign.
Okay. Hey, real quick, what's your gardening tip for this week? I've got a minute left.
Okay, we've got some cooler temperatures coming ahead of us, and that's gonna back the watering situation down a little bit. Get your fertilizers going on your hanging baskets. Right now, the baskets if you've got hanging baskets, they need to be fertilized 2 to 3 times a week when you water. Don't get behind on it because then your plants get ugly and leggy and yellow, and they don't bloom as nice. So keep your fertilization going on your baskets and your planters and your flower beds with petunias because they are very heavy feeders. They like a lot of food. But if your petunias and that are getting real yellow, back your water off of them. We're getting a lot of complaints on yellow petunias right now, and I'm not talking flowers, I'm talking leaves.
Okay. There she is, the lovely Miss Vicki at Vicki's Country Garden, 185 South, 600 West of Paul. Number to call, 438-5663. Vicki, tell everybody where you're located and the hours that you're open.
We are open from 9 to 6, basically Monday through Saturday. Noon to 4 on Sundays, and we are right between Burley and Paul, just before you get to West Minico. You can't miss us.
All right, just look for the sign that was there.
It was there, yeah.
Okay. God bless you. Have a good week, Vicki. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Deb.
Take care. Oh, my goodness sakes. I want to also remind you, too, about our friends at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and much more. They are very dedicated and responsive to your needs in serving you and what you need for coverage. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Here's the number to call. The number number to remember, 436-4424. Make an appointment today, 436-4424, Cameron and Siemens Insurance. And also, right over there in that neck of the woods, our friends at Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. I'm telling you what, where the fun is sold. You check out all the 4x4s, all the four-wheelers, all the side-by-sides, and now with these warmer temperatures coming up, ooh, yeah, a lot of fun on the water, the lakes, the rivers, etc. They've got all the watercraft. You better stop in, and then they've got a fantastic accessory department, too, and service department to repair and fix and keep you going and having fun. Right there. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, open Monday through Friday 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 4. Yep, where the fun is sold. Let's Ride. We're going to go to the phone line right now, and I think we've had this gentleman on the phone. Wheels, did you just clear your throat?
I did, just to let you know that I'm only getting his voicemail, but I'm still trying to call him as many times as I can.
Oh, my goodness. Keep trying. I mean, make a diligent, and I'll have Deanne. Deanne, if you could run in here, and we'll try to find out where our gentleman is for this segment. And in the interim, if you would give me a call at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587, and we'll talk about any subject that you want to talk about. So while I'm waiting for Brian Crabtree, give me a call on the landline right now. Coming up on Saturday, while I wait for your call, is, of course, the Minnecasia Relay for Life. And we've been very, very fortunate on this program to have visited on a couple of occasions with Debbie Critchfield, and she is helping as a spokesman for the Minnecasia Relay for Life. That's going to be this coming Saturday, June 10th, at the Burley High School track, and it's going to be from 11 in the morning until 11 p.m. at night. And relay teams will be walking or running around the track, and, of course, garnering funds to fight cancer. And so I absolutely salute these people. The Minnecasia Relay for Life going on this Saturday at the Burley High School track. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, I know you got to be quick here. But
No. You don't have to be that quick because my guest isn't here. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, but in case he shows up.
All right.
Friday night, me and Nora, my wife, got in the rig, and we took our two nieces who is that him, you think?
No, you go ahead and finish your point.
Okay. Well, I'm going to make it quick. We were driving to Twin, and they just recently moved from California, and she's sitting in the back seat, and she just casually brought up how they had to take classes in Islam in California because it was a requirement. And this is Gulf, California, between Sacramento and Stockton.
Right, it's on Highway 99. I've been there many, many times.
And so you know, and see, it's a smaller town. It's not like it's the middle of LA. But it doesn't matter where you are in California. These leadership in California is so screwed up. You just can't believe it. So she just told me how they were indoctrinated in the Muslim religion, not in a lightweight way, but it was way more in depth than you'd ever want to believe. And then between that in our school system, and then also the disruptive, disrespectful Hispanic children that are living on our dime, and their parents are encouraging it, and they're disrupting. They talk about La Raza, the race, the Mexican race, and they hate Americans. And between that and this Muslim indoctrination, how does a person who wants a child that needs to learn and wants to learn ever going to learn anything in that school system in California?
Well, I'll tell you what, Randy, it all boils down to this. At Galt, California, or whether it's Chicago, Illinois, or whether it's St. Petersburg, Florida, it doesn't make any difference. I think, and I urge parents, anytime that is a forced and mandatory study of Islam and their ideology, it's time to pull the kids out of school. Get the sack lunch off the locker, take them home, and start teaching yourself, because we've got to restore more of a mentality of America and American values first. I would not allow my children to sit in a forced indoctrination class. I think my guest is on the other line right now, Randy, but I certainly appreciate your thoughts. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right. Let's go to the phone line right now, and I believe we have Brian Crabtree. Good morning, Brian. How are you?
No, sir, it's Tony.
Oh, it's Tony. All right, I thought you had said that. I'm sorry, I apologize. I thought it was Brian Crabtree. We're still trying to find where my guest is and hopefully get him on the air. Tony, go ahead, please. I'm sorry, sir. I called the wrong name. And I don't know what happened. Wheels, what happened to Tony?
I guess he just decided to hang up. So
Oh.
hopefully he'll call back in.
You know, this is like a Chinese fire drill all of a sudden. Let's get some people on the line and call, please. Brian Crabtree is supposed to be here this morning, and we'll have that caller call back. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Zeb, I thought your guest was on, so I hung up.
Oh, that's all right. Go ahead.
Okay, during World War II, people who were suspected of being agents or disruptive to the United States were put in internment camps. Nowadays, they're allowed to run free, have training camps in the United States. We don't know who they are, don't know where they are. The question I have is, what's the holdup at the Supreme Court about getting a ruling on this stuff?
You know, I'll say this, and I've got another call waiting, and it might be our guest. But Tony, I want to respond to what you just said. Through my family and my wife's family, I've done a lot of research on supposedly the Hunt camp and other internment camps from World War II, and I think that there is a lot of misinformation and a lot of misnomers, if you will, about how they were treated, etc. Deanne's aunt, one of the most noted historians of Idaho, Virginia Ricketts, and the Ricketts family knew the so-called Japanese interned at that camp, and it's a much different story than what CSI and others would lead you to believe. But I do think with the problems that we have going on in this United States and a vetting system that is shot full of holes, we've got to be much more careful about who we allow into our communities and for what reason.
Yeah, if we're not careful, we're going to get overrun.
Absolutely.
There's no question about it in my mind. They're right here now in Twin Falls, and I think there's many of them in CSI that the day is coming when these same group of people are going to be demonstrating on the CSI campus. Then what do we do?
I agree. Tony, you and Mary, God bless. Thank you so much for your call. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Unfortunately, I'm not the guest.
Well, that's all right. I'll talk to you and treat you as good as I would any guest. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, you know, you're talking about teaching Islam in the schools. All right, people, make up your mind. Is it a religion? Is it an ideology? What the heck is it? Because if it's a religion, then I want Judaism and Catholicism and Mormonism and Hinduism taught in the schools also. If it's an ideology and it's a history, then by dang, let's teach the Christian history. Let's stop changing history to make the Democrats.
Let me ask you a question, and you've called into this program many times in the past, and I respect your attitude and opinion. Why, in your opinion, do you think that today, more so than ever before, there is a concentrated full-court press to accept Islam in this country?
Because somebody's got their heads on, well, we won't say where they're hiding, but they're like the proverbial ostrich with their head in the sand. They They don't care. There's money in it, something. I don't know. I don't get it. But they just don't want to see the writing on the wall.
After 9/11, I thought that the American public would wake up and smell the coffee and understand that there are certain aspects of Islam that want to do nothing more than kill, maim, and destroy. But for some reason, whether it's through certain organizations or certain politicians, there has been a real groundswell of support to try to force not only that religion but their ideology upon this country, and I, for one, am going to fight it every way I can.
Exactly, and just because you're a Muslim, just because you worship the Islamic faith, does not make you a bad person. It's just like Christianity. There's gotten some really off the wall in the name of Christianity religions. I mean, and we're talking tiny little sects. And the one that comes off the top of my head is the people who worship snakes, and in the name of Christianity, because somewhere in the Bible it said, whatever, and vipers and all that. And so it's probably the same with the Muslim, the Islamic religion. As a rule, maybe they're kind-hearted people, but if you put your woman under a black and make her walk around, I'd die. It would kill me to be in the heat. There was a gentleman on the television this morning, and he was talking about the Quran, and he was talking about all the passages, well over 100, that incite violence and killing of the infidels. And quite frankly, the proof is in the pudding. How much more do we need to see and hear about the violence and the maiming and the destroying of civilized cultures? These people absolutely don't care or have respect for life. I'm very concerned. You should be too. Exactly. And, yes, there's violence in the Bible, but it doesn't say go out and do it. Absolutely. It's history. It's what happened. It doesn't mean to repeat it. I believe that my God is a loving and caring God, and I will never change my opinion. And one thing also that I will say, anybody that is uneducated, like there have been some writing for various newspapers, etc., that have tried to compare and say that Allah of Islam is the same as my God in Christianity, they are nuts. Yeah, I haven't studied Islam that much, but what I know of it, I'm kind of scary. Thank you. You're always welcome on this program. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Appreciate it. Thank you. Nice lady right there. I don't know what happened to my guest. I know that Wheels is trying to get a hold of him, and I know Deanne is trying to get a hold of him. Yes, go ahead.
I was just going to let you know that I had texted you to let you know that I got him on the phone for you now.
All right, I appreciate it. Well, we have him on the air, and we're ready to go a few minutes late, and we're going to have to make it a short and sweet interview. But good morning, Brian Crabtree, publisher of Talk40.com. How are you, sir?
Great. Good to be with you.
Brian, according to the cheat sheet that I have here, you were going to be talking about Donald Trump and the potential, when I received this cheat sheet, of pulling out of the Paris Climate Accord. He did, and what do you think about where we are right now?
Well, there's a lot of outrage and hysteria, of course, as you've seen in the media, that he did this, and it's that whole, wait a minute, you guys on the right don't believe in science. Now, these are the same people who tell us that there's no science behind the fact that when a male is born a male, that he can't just suddenly decide to be a woman. I mean, the hypocrisy of these kinds of arguments is amazing. But if you really look at the Paris Climate Accord, first of all, it was non-binding, so he pulled out of something we didn't have to do anyway, and second of all, we did most of the giving. I mean, when you give other countries a little more time to meet the same standards we have to meet, because I guess the theory is that we're more advantaged than they are, then what does that really do? It creates an incentive for existing American businesses and manufacturing to go to those countries who have another 10 or 20 years before they actually have to meet the same standards. And we know they'll cheat on top of that to get the jobs in the business and the manufacturing. So it actually gives away more of our economy. You know, the world's not going to like this, and certainly the globalist media isn't going to like it. But we have got to be more nationalist in this day and age. We have spent 2 or 3 decades giving away our economy, and ultimately Trump is simply saying we're not going to do it during his tenure. And the American people, I believe, pretty much overwhelmingly support this.
Brian, I agree with everything you said, but I'm going to use a 7-letter word that the left and the Democrats and the other countries of the world, they're looking at this as nothing more than control. Control of the United States, and also a reestablishment of the wealth pattern. They want to see our money go to help underprivileged and make them bigger and stronger, and actually, in the long run, try to turn the United States into a third-rate, third-world country. That's my belief, and nobody's going to change it.
I've done a number of interviews this morning, and a lot of people are saying that they or you believe that the rest of the world wants us to spread our wealth around a little bit. There's no doubt that that's their desire. There's no doubt that that was Obama's main objective. He felt we had been too much, too strong, too much of a bully for too long, and it was his job to apologize for the world. But look what it got us. Well, apologize to the world for us. Look what it got us. It got us ISIS. It got us civil unrest, Egypt, Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, the list goes on. Countries have absolutely had no American leadership. We're at odds with Russia. I mean, the list goes on and on of the disruptions created by that kind of mentality. We have to remember that a strong, privileged America has been a forceful good for centuries, especially the last 2 decades around the world, to keeping peace, promoting democracy, not forcing it in nation building, but promoting democracy. And we've done a lot of good with our unbalanced wealth and success. So we have to remember that as we continue to spread our wealth and give it away, we are also giving away our goodwill and our ability to continue to be that force for good. And that's why the world is becoming more unstable. One quick point. The United States has created a welfare state in the world. Germany and the UK and countries like that are the welfare recipients, just like we have impoverished people in our country who are receiving benefits who don't work for them but can work. Not all, but many can work and don't. And once you start trying to take away those benefits to the welfare recipients in our country, the people who are impoverished in the world's context, Germany, England, those types of countries, then they get upset and start labeling and projecting on the person bad things that ultimately is trying to bring it back into check and balance. And that person happens to be our president, Donald Trump. I think the American people get it. I think a lot of people in the world get it. But the political brass of the world and in our country, it's better than half of it, they certainly don't like it because it takes away their influence, position, and power. Because if you don't have all these things to give away anymore, you can't use them as negotiating chips.
You know, Brian, you're very knowledgeable on this subject, and I'll ask you this question as I've asked many others in regard to climate change. What do the climate controllers, want? Do they want a 75-degree sunny day every day all across the realm of the universe? What do they want? What do they see as an optimum climate change? What are they looking for?
The best way I can describe this in proper words is I'm a media guy and a real estate guy. I invest in real estate. So what does a real estate investor want? Disruption, chaos, foreclosures, cheap properties. Kind of a mess, right? When there's a mess in the industry, people like me can go in and buy things that people paid way too much for way too little, and then I can hold them and sell them for more money. So disruption and chaos to the economy due to climate change standards, due to manufacturing standards, creates opportunity from that chaos. What's the opportunity? To be on the forefront of developing the technologies and tools necessary to comply with the new standards and regulations creating the chaos. Because you have chaos, you have desperation. So these businesses need carbon trade, like trading carbon, output, that kind of thing. They need manufacturing facilities. They need certain types of technology, both digital and manufacturing capacity. And so these people who are peddling the climate change, they don't care about the temperature. I mean, these are the same people who fly around in private jets burning hundreds of gallons of fuel per hour to get to and from meetings about climate change. They care about the disruption, which creates the chaos, which brings the opportunity for them to sell something to fix it. They make the problem and they sell the solution to fix it. That's what this is about. Don't think it's about anything else. There's a few crazy people on the left who have no power, no influence, or no relevance, even if they have a microphone or platform, who actually do believe the garbage these opportunists and troublemakers are peddling, and they believe that Miami is going to sink into the ocean and New York is next. But the bottom line is the money behind this wants the opportunity to create the solution to the problem they create.
Yeah, Brian, I don't know if you caught it or not, but Chris Wallace of Fox News really had Al Gore on his hip pockets during the weekend on a television interview when he told Al Gore, Al, your predictions of almost now 12 years ago have not ever come true. What happened? And Al Gore sputtered like a cheap lawnmower because they don't have the answers.
No, it's all emotional diatribe. That's it. There's nothing factual about what they're saying. And the facts that they cite are from scientists who were funded either by the government interest or beyond that, the people who want to create the chaos to make and profit from the solution. So when you fund a project and you're the scientist, you receive the funding, you already go into the project knowing what you want to find. You're just going in there to find science to support it. I can find science to support any kind of reasonable hypothesis of whether there's man-made climate change or not. It just depends on how I approach the science. And so, the funding and the backup to all of this stuff is already with a thought in mind of what they want it to look like in the end, because if you're a scientist getting millions of dollars in funding or billions over time as an organization, and you don't find what they want you to find, your funding is going to stop. And that makes not the science corrupt, but the process of delivering the scientific and the experiments and the results a bit of a corrupt process, or at least disingenuous.
One final thought here, Brian, and a lot of people, I think, the American public, I think, was extremely naive, or they didn't even bother to understand what this would have cost them, the American taxpayer. If he would have signed that accord, it would have cost the American taxpayer about $52 billion to be a part of this stupid accord. And why can't the American public, why are they so naive or choose not to know how much is going to come out of their pocket?
And they don't have time. They're overwhelmed by fraud, prevention, detection, jobs, business, upward mobility. Everything you go to do is so overwhelming. We try to understand things. Everything's become complex. We're not wired for this technological society that we're in. So the American people have a legitimate reason, if they're focused on family and their career, which is about all you can handle, as an average American, to not understand the dynamics of everything that's going on. I wrote an article in Town Hall today. It's not about this particular issue, but it's fitting. The American people want someone as their leader to keep them from knowing what they don't want to know. Meaning there's a whole lot being thrust at us right now that we don't really want to know because it's too overwhelming for us to understand it. It creates emotion. It creates anxiety. The Trump-Russia thing is the main intent of that article, but this Paris Climate Accord, the climate change argument, it's all the same stuff. So the American people aren't in the media like you and I are, where we read this stuff almost nonstop every day. If they did, they would wake up and it'd be a very conservative America. So what we have is the American people's ignorance are being used. They're now because of that, being used as useful idiots for political purposes. And it's the party or groups that are the best manipulators that ultimately, in the end, win the arguments. And that's a very dangerous trajectory for the country, because with the rapid flow of technology, it makes the deviant ones, the ones that aren't honest or forthright, more capable of confusing Americans. That's why Americans shouldn't really take a position on anything until they've had the time to stop and read it. They shouldn't react emotionally, but unfortunately that's not going to change, and that's why these issues spin out of control, and the people who ultimately seem to have the best solutions typically get labeled and cast aside as radical, as killing people, as inhumane, all of these, bigots, racists, all of it, because the people who understand the abstract 30,000-foot view of the problem understand also that the problem isn't easily solved. And if we told the truth to the American people, we'd probably have even more anxiety as the problems and challenges we've created for ourselves. We're in a mess, and every regard, from terror to security to our economy to our financial status, our debt, and it's going to take a real disruption, in my view, of some sort, whether it be a major terrorist attack, a major economic event that's even worse than the last recession, something for us to be brought down to our knees and humbled back into reality, because we're living in a bubble, in a cocoon, and most Americans don't get it. Your audience may, but there's a lot of other people that aren't listening that don't get it, and they are quite influential in shaping of our politics and our political direction.
Well stated, and thank you, Brian Crabtree, the publisher of Talk40.com. We appreciate you for being on the program. I'll call and have you back in the future. Thank you, Brian. Well done. Thank you.
Great to be with you.
All
Thanks
right,
for
sir.
having me.
Thank you. Very interesting young man, Brian Crabtree, and about the Paris climate deal. And we're going to have another segment on this coming up next hour, as a matter of fact. Oh, my goodness, got to get the weather in. Wheels is chomping on the bit. The weather brought to you by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company, providing accounting services to the Mini-Cassia area for well over 50 years. The best of tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, bookkeeping services, retirement planning, and 2 locations to serve you, 1710 Overland Avenue in Burley and 625th Street in Rupert. And right now, here's the weather.
Here's your weather as we saddle up and decide to ride again on this Monday. Today it is going to be sunny, but much cooler than what it has been over the weekend. Slightly breezy as well, winds out of the west, anywhere from 10 to 20 miles an hour. Looking at a high of 76 for today. Tonight, slightly breezy. Looking at mostly clear skies overnight, low 48 for tomorrow. Partly cloudy skies, bumping up to about 88 degrees, slightly breezy as well. And then for Tuesday night, partly cloudy skies, low 57, warming up to 93 for Wednesday, and it's going to get warmer as we get on into the weekend. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. Excellent job as always. And, of course, when you want to work with the best, all you have to do is get a hold of Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company, accounting services that can and will help you. Please remember that they specialize in agriculture, manufacturing, food production services, construction, and they are absolutely there to answer your questions. Please call Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company, Burley and Rupert. Holy smokes, I'm running late, and I've got to tell you also about our dear friends at Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center, 924 Christian Way in Rupert. Number to call, number to remember, 436-3200. You know, they're the only locally owned and operated assisted living facility in the Mini-Cassia area, and they want the public to come by and visit their facility anytime. They've got a beautiful patio in the backyard, and they have barbecues and all kinds of functions, and they take the residents to community events. They really want to make every effort to make Autumn Haven the best place. They're small compared to some, but with a bigger heart than most. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center, 924 Christian Way in Rupert, 436-3200. Gotta run. Wheels, take us to the news from CBS. Oh, my. Here we go, hour number 3. Zeb at the Ranch on a beautiful Monday morning, and welcome back. Zeb at the Ranch brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and of course some of our great advertisers, including Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call them at 734-6969. Don't forget that Ag Express is looking for drivers. Excuse me, got a frog in my throat this morning. Ag Express is looking for drivers. There we go. All you have to do is just call Dale and Paul at 438-8886 or Alan in Twin Falls at 731-2495 and Russ and Burley at 431-7175. They're looking for full and part-time positions, and retired folks are welcome to apply. And they'll work around your schedule 2 or 3 days a week, whatever works best for you. And remember, you're home every night and always using new and maintained equipment, vacation schedules, benefit programs, all of this and more. At Ag Express, they're looking for drivers. Ag Express is looking for you. Right now, let's go to the phone line. And we've had this gentleman on the program with us in the past, and I'm looking forward to his remarks this morning. Dan Perkins is a registered investment advisor, and good morning, Dan. How are you?
I'm fine, and thank you for having me back on the show again.
Well, it's my pleasure. Actually, I tell you what, I did an Irish jig last week when Donald Trump took off from the Paris Climate Accord and said basically, no thanks. It's going to hurt us, the United States. It's going to hurt our businesses, and it's going to hurt everybody's pocketbook to the tune of over $52 billion. And I'm glad he pulled out, but oh my goodness, all the heat from the left. Bring us up to speed on your thoughts.
Well, I've actually got a piece that's being reviewed right now. I can't tell you what blog site it's going to be on, but as soon as I get it, I'll send your producer a link, and you can take a look at it. Basically, what I'm saying is, let's deal with some reality here. What Mr. Trump did last week in his Rose Garden speech is provided more transparency and more disclosure to the American people than anybody, including the President of the United States, did when he signed this Paris Accord a year ago. Let's deal with some real numbers. An environmental group has done a study of the 25 dirtiest cities in the world, from pollution and air quality and everything else. 25. The United States had no cities in the top 25 in the world. Zero. None. Now, Forbes magazine recently did a study of the 10 dirtiest cities in the United States. And surprisingly enough, all of them were controlled by Democrats and have been for a long time. So that the Democrats talk a good story, but they don't do a good story. Now let's do the reality of the deal. China and India have 15 of the worst 25 cities in the world for air quality. And under the Paris Accord, they have told the central body that they will probably not be operational, not compliant to the CO2 level that they need to have before 2035. So they are exempt from the requirements of CO2 emissions for another 18 years, and perhaps longer if they can't get it down. Now, the cost of the Paris Accord is going to cost the average family in the United States $4,000 in lost income. And we're expecting a significant increase in energy prices because, again, not disclosed until last week, it severely restricts our ability to mine coal, drill for oil and natural gas, and forces us to develop and pay for higher-cost alternative energy. So when Trump said this was a bad deal when he was running for president, he's finally told the American people just how bad a deal it was. And it makes no sense for us to be a participant. Do you know that under the Accord, it's estimated over the next 83 years, the world will spend $68 trillion to deal with global or climate change to try and get the temperature down 1 degree Fahrenheit. Now, I ask you, have you ever found a government who could make a promise 83 years out?
It's absolutely ridiculous what's going on in this country and how the liberal loon left is trying to promote climate change. Let me ask you this, Dan, and you're very well versed on this subject. What do they want? And I mean this as an all-encompassing statement. When they look at what they call climate change and or global warming, what do they want? Do they want a happy median of 75 degrees and sunshine around the globe? What do they really want for a climate change?
That is absolutely, as my British friends used to say, a spot-on question. It is a great question. And here's the answer. It's all about wealth redistribution.
Right.
It has nothing to do with the climate, nothing to do with the temperature, nothing to do with the ozone, Nothing to do with the polar ice caps. It's a way to transfer money from us to other nations. It's wealth redistribution. That's what it's all about.
When you look at the scientists that they claim that they have 97 to 98% of the scientists in their ball court, that's absolutely a phony, absolutely erroneous statement, because I've had many, many scientists, I've had many, many people that are involved in meteorological studies on this program from various universities and colleges, and they're looking at this thing and they're saying, no, yes, climate is cyclical and climate does change, and we're going into a cooler weather pattern, not a warmer weather pattern. What is your response to that?
Right. Another great question. The National Weather Service says that any weather forecast out over 10 days is sketchy at best.
That's right.
So do we really believe, first, do we really believe that we have the ability to predict what the weather's going to be like 83 years out? No. As to your first point, in this blog, there is a link where 32,000 scientists from around the world have signed a petition saying that global climate change, as constituted by the left, is a hoax. So I've got a reference point for 32,000 signatures of scientists from all over the world saying, no, it's not true.
I've got to ask you, Dan, because you probably watched this. On Fox News, Chris Wallace had Al Gore, and of course you know that he's the inventor and father of the Internet. Well, he was asked about why your predictions of Holocaust and all the death warnings of climate control and global warming are not coming true. And Al Gore could not come up with a sensible response. What was your thought when you saw or heard that on Chris Wallace?
Again, in the article, this article is packed full of facts. In the article, it says, it quotes Al Gore in 2005 to a conference in Germany saying the polar ice cap will be gone by 2013. This same group did a study of 117 predictions that the global warming people have made. And 97.4% of them have never happened.
Absolutely.
So there is no credibility based on actual evidence, regardless of predictions. There's no credibility to what they're saying. It's about wealth redistribution.
And I'll add something else to your last sentence. I'll also add the 7-letter word, along with wealth redistribution, the word control. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. No question. I mean, we're talking about trillions. The estimate, you know how good the government is at estimating things. The government Office of Management and Budget is estimating that under the commitment under the Paris Accord, we would be required to fund at least $4 trillion.
$4 trillion. Hold on, we've got a caller with a question for you, Dan. Stand by. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air. Quickly, please.
Well, quickly, I'm going to repeat myself here, but this is the thing. Mr. Trump is going to set back this environmental extremist movement back to the 50s, along with all the rest of these insane movements, socialism, environmentalism, whatever else there is. And if the people that voted for him, who are real Americans, who are the ones that keep the economy propped up, and who seem to know the difference between a lie and truth, and an actual reality of what makes our economy work in the world, how it works, with America running hot, everything else, the redistribution of this wealth will not occur. I'll hang out.
Respond to the caller, if you would, please, Dan. Go ahead.
Yeah, the Earth is not getting measurably hotter. In fact, you're right. We're in a cooling. The reason why it's been cooling for the last 30 years, the environmentalists will say, well, we're in a pause. No, we're not in a pause. We're part of the cycle of climate change. You got to understand that when this thing came out, we started talking about global warming. When they realized that wasn't going to sell, they fell back to climate change. How many people in the world would you say would disagree with the concept that the climate of the world is changing? Nobody, because it does change. It changes over the 4 seasons. It gets hot, gets cold, we get snow, we get rain. And that's why they moved away from global warming to climate change, because it created a platform where nobody could really disagree with it.
When you look at the statements by Tom Stiers and others that are absolute multi-million-dollar contributors to try to put the global warming hoax or the climate change hoax on all of America, what do you think the future bodes for this administration for the next 3.5 years, and how can the Trump administration support all the big money against him?
By talking to the American people. This is the one thing that the mainstream media and the Democratic radical left has a fundamental problem with Mr. Trump. He is not following the traditional political situation where no matter who is elected to govern, the Democrats govern. The president doesn't say anything. He doesn't challenge the Democratic leadership. And this president, from day one, has said he's not going to do that. And he's standing up, and every day he stands up, he gets deeper and deeper under the skin of the Democrats and the left, and they don't know what to do. They're trying to bring him down, and every time they try and bring him down, he pops back up again. And it's just, I think they're going to run out of stuff, and they're going to run out of support. Every time they pull the kind of stuff they pulled last week with Kathy Griffin and the guy from CNN, those kinds of things chip away at their support when people say, that's not acceptable. That's not the right thing to do. And if that's what my party stands for, I don't want to be there. And I think you're going to see that there's going to be another backlash in the November 2018 campaign where America is going to get rid of more and more Democrats and make it even more and more a minority party.
I agree. Dan, I would be amiss if I didn't mention this morning your trilogy, The Brotherhood of the Red Nile. What are your thoughts now as we see another horrendous terror attack on the UK, and still the naive attitude of those among the liberal left in this country, almost like it doesn't and won't happen here? What are your thoughts?
If you read my first book, if your listener would just, out of the three, if they just read the first book and begin to understand some fundamentals about Sharia law and the Quran and why these people hate us so much, and when they say death to America, understand that they really mean that, our worst days are ahead of us as attacks continue, because they're coming here. They're coming here. And more Americans are going to die, and we cannot be so naive as to put our head in the sand and say, well, maybe happen in Germany and France and Italy, but it's not going to really happen here in any significant number. And we're naive at best.
What do you think about what Trump's stand was over the weekend? And I applaud him for saying the gloves are off, no more political correctness, let's go after the source, and let's get rid of the problem. And yet the liberal left is, oh my goodness, we can't do that. Why? We can't impede on people's rights. We can't have surveillance on mosques and everything. When are they going to realize that this ideology is trying to kill all of us?
Let me take that one quick step. What you have is a situation. I want to go back, because it's important to say this. I want to go back to the first beheading of the American reporter during that summertime when the president had to give up his golf game and come out and talk about it. That was a message to the media from the terrorists. Don't screw with us, because we will come and we will kill you. For a long time, the protected class in the United States were the black people, because the Democrats championed them, per se. Now what you have is a situation where the black people are no longer the favored nation. The favored nation in the United States are the Muslims because they rule with fear. The Democrats and the left are reluctant to go after do anything relative to the Muslims because they are fundamentally afraid of them for their lives.
So, Dan, if you were to encompass this into a statement, how far along on a 1 to 10 scale are they for taking over with fear and control of our government and the way that they're treated? It sounds like a real pessimistic day ahead if things don't change.
Understand that the Muslim faith are effective breeders. They have, on average, about 7 children. They are fast-growing. Wherever they are, they come in, they populate the city, they take over the city, and then eventually they're going to take over the state. The biggest fear in Europe, for example, is that it becomes that France is no longer France, Germany is not Germany. All these other countries all become Islamic states, and that's the Muslims are going to control the government and the people, and their culture, heritage, and history is going to disappear.
Absolutely.
We're not as far along in that process as they are in Europe because Europe is very paranoid about political correctness, and I think Trump was correct in what he's trying to say. I've been saying it for some time. We're going to have to make some decisions, and the question I would ask the people on the left who might be listening to your program, how many Americans have to die before you think we should change what we're doing?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, Dan, let me end the program segment by asking you this. Because of your energy experience, you know about energy, you know exactly the highs and lows of that industry. But what about the future? What about the rest of the Trump first 4 years? What do you think, looking into a crystal ball, about energy and the reviving of the energy industry? Not the solar, not the green, but the gas wells, natural gas, etc.
And coal. And coal.
Absolutely.
I believe that we're already exporting right now over 1 million barrels a day of crude oil, about 1.7 million barrels a day of diesel fuel, and about 700,000 barrels of gasoline. I believe within the next couple of years, we will be the principal energy source to the world.
And what about the liberal left at that point? I mean, what are they going to be doing? What are they going to be fighting? How are they going to fight America as an energy leader?
Understand, this is a very important point. It's a great question you asked. Very important point. Understand that when you have a society that is dependent on the government for its income, you have a society controlled by the government. And so the government can do pretty much whatever it wants. When you replace that government check with a paycheck, where the person has financial independence, makes a good living, he can support his family, he can buy a house and a car and everything else, the whole relationship changes. I think that the greatest thing that will happen in this country over the next 4 years is that Mr. Trump will get this economy growing again. And maybe by 2018, we'll be looking at, prior to the election, somewhere between 3 and 4% GDP. We're going to put money in people's pockets that they earned, not that was handed out from the government. That's going to be a very serious problem for the Democratic Party.
Well, I tell you what, I really enjoyed having you on the program this morning, Dan, and I urge people to check out the books, The Brotherhood of the Red Nile, and it's a trilogy. I absolutely want to have you back on the air in the future, and thank you so much for your time this morning.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for giving me so much time.
All right, sir. Dan Perkins. And very interesting. Knows about energy, knows about what's going on with the Muslim ideology. And his books, of course, The Brotherhood of the Red Nile, America Rebuilds. We're going to have him on the air again. Oh, calls are welcome and appreciated. We still have time for another phone call in this segment. But first and foremost, I want to remind you about a segment we have on Thursdays called Cassia County School Days. We have two wonderful sponsors of Cassia County School Days, and they are Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley, and it is the best place to go buy a special baby gift. And remember, gift wrapping is always free. And they've got hundreds of new summer dresses and save 20%. I'll tell you, they've got all the Cherokee scrubs and the shoes. Please, it's a family store, and they'd love to have you stop in. All the games, the puzzles, everything at a Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley. Along with the Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley. And a very important number to call and find out how they can save you money on outpatient surgeries like glaucoma surgery, cataract surgery, life-saving colonoscopies. Call them at 677-8888. 677-8888 Ambulatory Surgery Center, along with a Child's World, bringing you school days in Cassia County every Thursday at 10:10. Okay. Coming up next half hour, we've had this gentleman also on the air before, Jeff Cruer, and he's a columnist and author of the timely new book, America's Last Chance. And we're going to have, I think, a really interesting discussion with him about Hillary Clinton. Hillary won't go away. She's like a cold that keeps hanging on, one of which I've had for quite some time. And we're going to talk to him about Hillary Clinton, and will she finally go to the rocking chair and say, enough is enough? I doubt it. We'll have him on in about 5 or 6 minutes. Right now, we're going to send it back to Wheels. And by the way, Wheels, thank you for your diligence last half hour helping me get that guest on the air. You're a good man, McGee. We appreciate you. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. It's no problem. I'm glad we were able to get him on like we did.
All right, buddy.
It's great.
Thank you much. We're going to turn it back over to you right now, and we'll be back in about 3 minutes. Thank you.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Oh, look at the weather outside. My goodness, a nice day. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our last half-hour segment, and we're going to jump down to the Pelican State of Louisiana, and we have with us Jeff Cruer, a columnist and author of the timely new book, America's Last Chance. Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
Hey, Zeb. Good morning.
How's everything down in hot, muggy, I can't take it, I'm not tough enough, Louisiana?
It's been rainy. We've had a lot of rain over the past few weeks, so we're looking for some relief, but it'll probably get here sooner rather than later, and we'll be crying about the hot weather. So I guess I'll take the rain over the super hot weather.
You know, let me ask you about your book called America's Last Chance. It's kind of foreboding and really telling about, I'm believing, your comments about Donald Trump may be our last chance against the liberal left. Am I correct in assuming that?
Yes. When I started writing the book, I really was writing as a frustrated talk show host and Republican activist who saw time and time again that we sent people up to Washington. They never got anything done. They never said what they said they were going to do. All of our demands were just ignored. And then I saw Donald Trump come along, and I saw a guy who was an outsider, who was a businessman, who wasn't part of the establishment. And he was really representing everything that I was calling for. So I got involved in his campaign. I became a co-chair for him in the state and went to the convention and really was very pleased with his message. And I think that was part one. And Zeb, the book also talks about part two being the agenda getting through Congress. And that's where we're reaching, I think, a sticking point right now with Congress.
You know, let me ask you this, Jeff, with politics today. Hillary, I want to get into this Hillary Clinton problem. She just won't go away, and she's absolutely exacerbating the problem, I think, against Donald Trump and his presidency by leading the resistance. I have never in my lifetime, and I'm an old man, 69 years of age, I've never seen the losing team put up as much resistance and antagonism against an administration like they are currently. What are your thoughts?
You're 100% right. I mean, she's the biggest sore loser of the sore losers we've ever seen. I mean, in the past, you had people that lost and they just moved on. I'm thinking of Bush Sr. I'm thinking of Romney last time, and she's someone who really can't let it go. And I guess she's so upset that she lost, even though she had the media with her. She had the 4 decades of experience. She outspent Trump 2-1. She had all the collusion with all of her big donors and her husband and all that experience, and she lost to a neophyte, to someone who had never run before. And I think she's just kicking herself that she blew it. And now she just can't accept reality, and really it's her fault. I mean, she's to blame. No one else but her, Zeb.
Yeah, no, but what about the Democratic Party, Jeff? You studied this, you've written about it and everything else. They must have somebody smart enough in the party to realize that A, Hillary is a bad persona to have in front of their party as a figurehead, B, they don't have a platform, and C, they've got to figure out how to get the flyover states of America to want to vote Democratic. Why are they so dumb?
Notice what Joe Biden has been saying recently. He talked about Hillary not being a great candidate.
Right.
He talked about the Democrats needing to figure out a way to reach the working class. And then he's launching a super PAC with the eyes on 2020. So I think he's someone who realizes it. I think there's some others in the party that realize it. Even people like Al Franken, as super liberal as he is, he said it was time for Hillary to move on. So I think a lot of the Democrats have really sort of tired of Hillary.
They're even talking about the Clinton daughter now becoming more involved in politics and a possible and potential runner for the presidency. Is it because of the Clinton big money machine and a lot of dastardly deeds that we don't even know about behind the scenes? I mean, how big is that money machine?
It's massive. I mean, look at the Clinton Foundation. I mean, that was a big, just one big political network. I mean, I don't think that was anything but just to perpetuate their power in politics. And I think Chelsea Clinton is certainly, Zeb, you can go to the bank. She's going to run for office. I mean, the Clintons don't know anything else. So she's going to run for office. I don't know what it's going to be. They're going to find some office that she can win. And that'll be sort of setting the stage for her to sort of go up the political ladder. And I have no doubt about it. I don't see Hillary Clinton running again, but I certainly see Chelsea running for something within the next few years.
You know, I want to ask you a little bit about what's going on in the world today. And right now, everything is in terror flight. People are worried. People are concerned. They're worried about taking vacations. They're worried about going over to Europe. And quite frankly, they should be worried right here in this country. We are underneath a terror siege in this country and this world. And I think Donald Trump hit it right on the head. It's time to dump the political correctness. But the left absolutely will not give him any credence. Your thoughts?
I think he's exactly right. You're right. It is just something that I've never seen before. I think there is more opposition to this president than any president in my lifetime, in my memory. I mean, I thought Ronald Reagan was opposed. I mean, it's nothing compared to what this president is facing. And it's not just the media. It's not just the Democrats. It's the fellow Republicans, the deep state, the intelligence, the bureaucrats, the globalists, and the judges. And as you say, I mean, listen, the travel ban is logical. It makes sense for our homeland security. And I think it's the president's prerogative. And these judges are saying, no, it's illegal. They're basing it on his campaign rhetoric, not the law. and they're giving rights to people that aren't citizens. And, Zeb, I don't see it. I think our Constitution was written for American citizens, not foreigners.
That's exactly right. And, I want you to comment a little bit about the lunacy that's going on in this country. I mean, here is Kathy Griffin, a so-called comedian that I find to be one of the most filthy and one of the most vile people ever in communications of radio and TV. I just can't stand the woman. She holds up a supposedly severed head that looks like Donald Trump. She knew this. It wasn't a mistake. It was a choice on her part. And then in the last couple of days, she's claiming that she's being bullied by the Trump family. I'm telling you, the idiocy on the left doesn't quit.
It doesn't. And here's one other thing I'd like you to think about, Seth. She was working for CNN. She was their host of their New Year's show with Anderson Cooper. It took them hours to realize that she was a radical who needed to be fired, and they finally did that. Just the other day, I see that another CNN host of another program is calling the president a piece of F.
Oh,
I think we all know what that is. So I'm wondering what kind of network they're running over there and what kind of messages they're sending when they have people like that on the airwaves. Kathy Griffin is a disgrace. And anybody that stands up for her, like Jim Carrey, Jamie Foxx, whoever, I think is a disgrace as well.
Absolutely. What about the media in general, Jeff? When you worked for Trump as a delegate from Louisiana, the media, in my opinion, is more in the tank for liberalism, more so now than ever. How and will we ever be able to turn this thing around?
Well, the media, I think, is lost. I think the only way we're going to turn it around is through creating our own media outlets, talk radio, internet sites. People are, I think, turning to alternative voices. I think the broadcast networks are hopeless. All of the cable news networks are hopeless. Even Fox is sort of moving in the wrong direction. So I think people are turning those off. I think people are getting their information from the internet, from talk radio, from other sources, and I think that's going to be sort of the future. I think the good thing is people have the opportunity now to create their own platforms, and I think more people are going to be gravitating to independent voices, and they realize the bias of the mainstream news media. Their credibility is at an all-time low. I saw recently, Zeb, a ranking of media professionals, journalists, and they were just above used car salesmen. Other than that, they were at the very bottom. And their credibility is shot because I think people realize they're not telling the truth. They're biased.
Okay, but you said that even Fox News is changing and transitioning some of their approach to the stories in the news today. But the American public, unfortunately, doesn't take the time, nor do they want to take the time to learn what's really going on. If you take away the sources of easy finding out, whether it's the radio or the television, people are too lazy, in my opinion, to really do their own soul searching and their own education. Am I wrong?
I think that that's true for a lot of people, but I sense that more people, and certainly not a majority, but a growing number of people are starting to gather information on their own and look for other sources for information. I can't tell you the number of people that tell me they believe that networks are biased, that they've turned it off, they've had enough of it. And years ago, the bias was there, but I don't think people realized it. But, Zeb, I think more people are now coming to realize the bias because they see the anti-Trump hatred. They don't like it. So they're being sort of forced to find other sources of information because the traditional ones are so in the tank for the Democrats that they can't even trust them anymore.
Well, Jeff, we're 6 months into the Trump administration, and it's been nothing but turmoil and twisting, and the Democrats stopping and stymieing this after one episode after the next. What are your thoughts? How in the world can 4 years, let alone 8, how can 4 years be successful with the way things are stacked against him as far as any success?
Well, I'll tell you, nobody thought he could win, so he confounded all the experts and he won.
And I think people are discounting him now. They believe this Russia investigation is going to be his downfall, or James Comey, or the special prosecutor. They're always pointing to something. And he's a survivor. I think he's a winner, and he's been able to succeed in the business world. I think he's going to be able to succeed as president. I just believe that he has a connection with the American people, his supporters, that is not going to go away, that people are standing by him, and that he does represent the change we need. And I have no doubt that his agenda is the right agenda. Again, I just worry whether this Congress is going to be able to have the courage to back what he wants, because they're so influenced by the media and the Democrats. They're so politically correct that I have a lot of confidence in the president, Zeb. I really have no confidence in Congress.
Let me ask you, what did you think in all of his trip over to the Middle East, and what do you think the good and the bad of that trip will turn out to be? I thought he hit a home run right out of the park, but the liberal left is condemning him for his every action. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I think it was a home run. I agree. I think it was a great trip. I thought his message was spot on. And he seemed to make a lot of headway with the Saudis, reestablished his relationship with Israel, then told the NATO countries what they needed to hear, because they need to pony up and contribute their fair share. And then at the G7, I think he called out Germany for their horrible trade practices and said, hey, we're not going to be taken to the cleaners any longer. I mean, we're going to stand up for this country. And then Angela Merkel said, well, maybe we're going to have to fend for themselves. And I say, great. I think the United States needs to worry about the United States, and our taxpayers should not be footing the bill for people in other countries.
Absolutely.
So I think it was a positive message all the way around.
Absolutely. Tell us a little bit about America's Last Chance, Jeff. Where can it be obtained? Where can they purchase the book?
Zeb, I thank you very much. You can get it at Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, but the best spot is my website, which is my name, Jeff Crouere, and that's Crouere. I'd love people to get the book, and I'd love folks to subscribe to my new venture, which is my YouTube channel that I just started, and posting regular videos up there, and I think people will enjoy it. So I encourage them to check it out.
I really enjoy having you on the program. I hope you'll come back in the future. The author of the book, America's Last Chance, Jeff Crouere from Louisiana. Thank you, sir. Come back soon.
Will do. Thank you, Zeb.
All right, sir. Thank you. Very interesting man, and well-spoken, and tells it like it is regarding the Democrats and their so-called platform and Hillary. And why won't she just go away? That's the number one thing a lot of people are saying. She's just got to be a fly in the milk. And she, quite frankly, is doing a good job of doing the fly in the milk routine. Right now, let's go to the weather forecast. I'm going to get it on time this half hour, which Wheel says, attaboy, Zeb. The weather brought to you by Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Number to call, 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. I want to reiterate the fact that they've got a new product called the buckboard bacon. Leaner and more economical than traditional bacon, and it comes in many different flavors too, like lemon pepper, smokehouse barbecue, ranch, etc. Oh, it's good. You got to try it out. All the breakfast sausages and brats, everything from Scarro's Meats. 331 North Road, Jerome. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's your weather as we saddle up and decide to ride again on this Monday. Today it is going to be sunny, but much cooler than what it has been over the weekend. Slightly breezy as well, winds out of the west, anywhere from 10 to 20 miles an hour. Looking at a high of 76 for today. Tonight, slightly breezy. Looking at mostly clear skies overnight, low 48 for tomorrow. Partly cloudy skies, bumping up to about 88 degrees, slightly breezy as well. And then for Tuesday night, partly cloudy skies, low 57. Warming up to 93 for Wednesday, and it's going to get warmer as we get on into the weekend. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Oh, Gina, thank you. Thank you. And the weather brought to you by Don Scarrow and the rest of the crew at 331 North Road, Jerome. Number to call, and that's 324-7657. Scarro's Meats. Delicious. Changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. All right, your turn. Come on, somebody call me and we'll visit for a few minutes. I've got just a little bit of extra time here this morning, about 9 minutes or so give me a jingle on the landline. Love to visit with you about any subject you want to talk about, whether it's graduation. We talk about graduation. Deanna and I, we were up in Meridian this weekend. And all the motels that were busy, all the restaurants were swamped. They had graduations, they had baseball tournaments, they had all kinds of other activities. Over at Eagle, they had a rodeo. And the town was just absolutely chock full of people. And then yesterday, we pulled out of there at about 4 o'clock, headed home. And I got on the cell phone and called my son last night at about 6 o'clock. And he said, "Whoa, you got out of town just in time. Tremendous windstorm like what hit here in Magic Valley." And he said most of the power went out. It was ugly. So we made it home just right. We had a little bit of wind here, but not nearly what they had, I guess, over at the radio station and other places. Wheels, how bad was it over where you live, as a matter of fact, last night in that wind?
Well, I wasn't over here by the radio station, of course, but me and my brother had went to the river with a few friends last night, and, well, we decided to go get something to eat. It was about 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
That wind came through, and it got wild, let me tell you. It was almost like a whiteout, you know, when we've had our snow. You could literally see the dirt from the side of the riverbank literally lift up and come through, sweeping through town, and so it was...
Wow.
It was gnarly, yeah.
It was gnarly. Okay, well, listen, man. It didn't blow. It blew here, and, yeah, we had some high winds, but nothing, I guess, like what happened over there by you, and certainly nothing like what it was up in the Boise area. So they said the power was off, I guess, for half the town of Boise or whatever. That's what Jake was telling me last night. But anyway, kind of some unsettled conditions over the next couple of days, and we thank Gina for her diligence on the weather. Calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. As I said earlier this morning, and I want to keep telling you about this, the Minnetonka Relay for Life absolutely is going to take place this coming Saturday, June the 10th, starting at 11 o'clock in the morning and going till 11 p.m. at night at the Burley High School track. This year, the theme, one wish, two wish, you wish, I wish for a cure. And absolutely, I urge everyone to not only help fund this event, but to take part in it. And my thanks again go to the lovely Debbie Critchfield for coming on our program many, many times and discussing this great big relay for life coming up this weekend. And as they try to fight and diminish and cure cancer. And I absolutely can't say enough about all the good people involved. As a matter of fact, I was reading something, and I had it here on my desk, about cancer coverage and cures, and I can't find it right now off the cuff, but it said that they are making huge strides in more cancer research thanks to the increased funding and people like the Minnetonka Relay for Life trying to garner funds to fight that deadly disease of cancer. God bless each and every one of them. Thank you for all your efforts. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your call that I'm sure is coming in, I want to also remind you about our dear friends, our major sponsor at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, where doing the right thing matters, and they do the right things. I'm telling you, they've got all your tires, all your pickup and SUV tires, your passenger car tires. They've got all the sizes you need and everything. And also, when you go in there, ask about their free pre-trip safety check. You know what that is? They'll give a visual inspection of your tires, including checking the air pressure and the wheel alignment to check for tire wear, front end components, brake components, shocks and struts, battery. I mean, they'll make sure that when you leave town, you're going to be safe. Absolutely. And also check out the best in brake service at any of the 7 locations. And front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, all there with people that really care, because the Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers do the right thing because it matters. Be sure and stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. What have we got cooking for tomorrow? Well, we've had another change, unfortunately. We thought that we were going to have Melissa Francis from Fox News talking about her new book at 9:06 tomorrow. Just this morning, they contacted us before we went on the air and said they're going to try to change it to next week, and so we'll try to get Melissa on next week. And we've got Dr. History along with some other great guests, so be sure and tune in tomorrow morning at 8:06, Zeb at the Ranch, Edition Tuesday. Going to be a lot of fun. Let's see, what else have I got here? I had a public service announcement I have to get on real quick, and let's see, where did I put it? It's time to honor our fathers, and they're going to have a brunch at the Rupert Senior Center on Saturday, June 17th, serving from 10 a.m. until 12 p.m. Tickets are now available, and they're $8 per ticket, and they also have raffle tickets available for a cooler and some fishing gear and much more. Tickets are 1 for $2 and 3 tickets for $5. All of that coming up on June 17th. I think what we're going to do, Wheels, have you got a great patriotic song over there that we can play to wrap up the program for today? Have you got something for us? Maybe some artist that you've got right at the tip of your fingertips?
Well, it seems to be everybody's favorite, but I have You've Got to Stand for Something by Aaron Tippin.
You know what? That man, he comes to Boise on occasion, and I'm going to try to get him on my program, as a matter of fact. And he had that famous song, "If you can't stand for something, you'll fall for anything." And I'm glad you mentioned his name. And I'm going to turn it over to you in just a minute and let you play that song. We'll be back again tomorrow morning at 8:06 with more Zeb at the Ranch on Tuesday, streaming live on ZebBell.com all over the universe and right here on K-Bar 1230 a.m. And always remember, the way things were are the way things ought to be. Wheels, play that song for us.